A very good morning to all the students. This video for the class 7th subject science, chapter number 12, that is reproduction in plants. This is your lecture number 4th. So in today's lecture, I'll summarize this complete chapter, reproduction in the plants. So let us begin this lecture with the first topic, that is reproduction. So as you all know about that, the reproduction is the most important characteristics of all the living organisms to produce their young ones or to produce their own kind. That is reproduction. So the all living organisms have a characteristics that they can produce their own kind. So this production of the offspring from the parents is called reproduction. The reproduction is a process from where they can reproduce their own kind. The living organism is reproduce their own kind, that is reproduction. Okay, the production of a new organism from the parent organism is also called reproduction. Next is the modes of the reproduction in plants. There are the two main types of reproduction. First is the vegetative reproduction part, or we can say the asexual reproduction, and second is the sexual reproduction. So this vegetative part are the type of the asexual reproduction. Here the vegetative parts, these are the parts of the plant that play a major role in the life cycle of a plant, such as the preparation of the food, transportation of the food, transportation of the water and nutrient, and etc. For example, root, stem, leaves, these are the vegetative parts. Okay. Next is about the reproductive part. So these parts of a plant play also a major role in the reproduction process. Okay. For example, to making a flower, to making a fruit from the plant. First is the asexual reproduction, second is the sexual reproduction. So in asexual reproduction, first is the vegetative part. So new plants are formed from the vegetative parts of the plant, like the roots, stems or leaves. In reproductive part, the new plants are formed from the seed of the plant or the flower or the fruit. These are the reproductive organs that produce the seeds. Okay. Next is the types of reproduction. Reproduction in plants can be categorized into the two types, the asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So the asexual reproduction, the new plants are produced without using the seed. So in this process, generally the leaves, stem and roots participate in reproduction. Okay, this is the asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction plants mean new plants are produced from the existing plant without the formation of seed. Okay, from the one plant, many plants can be formed. Next is the sexual reproduction. The new plants are produced with the help of the seeds of a plant. So in this process, the flower of the plant participate in the reproduction. Okay, this is the sexual reproduction in plant. Or we can say the flower are the reproductive organ in the flowering plant, that is flower is said to be a modified part of the plant for sexual reproduction. Next is the different type of asexual reproduction. Now we are going to study about the different type of the asexual reproduction. First is vegetative reproduction, that is the vegetative propagation by roots. The vegetative reproduction from the new plants are formed from the vegetative parts. Okay, like a root, stem and leaves. As the name suggests, this type of reproduction, it takes place with the help of the vegetative parts. Vegetative parts are stem, roots and leaves. Only the one parent can produce the identical offspring in vegetative propagation. So in this vegetative propagation by root, In some plants, the roots are modified to store the food. So this is a picture of a sweet potato. So here the roots are modified to store the food as in the sweet potato. Okay, so these such roots have the birds on them. The birds are not present on the roots of the plant, which can grow to produce a new sweet potato plant. So from one root of the sweet potato, many plants can be reproduced. So this is the vegetative propagation by the roots. Next is the vegetative propagation by the stem. So just like the tuberous root, like the sweet potato, some plants have the tuberous stem. So these stem tubers store the nutrient and bears some nodes. So these nodes bear the buds that form the new plant, for example, potato. So in vegetative propagation by stem, many plants like rose, China rose and potato, they can easily grown by the stem cutting. So plant like a potato, so also called a potato tuber, because they have the underground stem. Firstly, observe a potato carefully. Okay, you will be able to see there are some scars is present on it. So take the magnifying glass, okay, and you might be able to see there are tiny birds in some scars. These are the birds, tiny birds in the scars. So these scars are commonly called as eyes. Okay, these scars are commonly called as eyes. So each one of the eye contain a eye bud, which is capable of developing a new plant. So when you cut this potato into a number of pieces, with each piece it containing a few buds or eyes. So after that you will observe that the new plant is grow from each the cut piece of the potato. So bud grows into the new plant is the vegetative propagation by stem. And another example are ginger and turmeric can also be grown the same way as the potato tuber is grown. Next is the vegetative propagation by leaves. Some plants have leaves that contain buds that can develop into a new plant. For example, Bryophylla. So the plant Bryophyllum, or we can say the sprout leaf plant, has the bud along the margin of the leaf. So in this picture you can easily see that these buds along the margin of the leaf, these are the buds. Okay, these buds that are present along the margin of its leaf. So during the favorable condition develop from these buds, if a leaf of a Bryophyllum with the buds or the plantlets fall on a moist soil, so the bud grows into a new independent plant. Okay, firstly during the favorable condition, when the conditions are favorable for growing this plant, that it develops from these buds. So this Bryophyllum with the buds or the plantlets, these falls on a moist soil and the bud grows into a new plant or new Bryophyllum plant. Okay, in the same way in a cacti plant, the green part that we see is the stem. So when any of its stem, the part get detached from the main plant, so each detached part can grow into a new plant. From one cacti, many cacti can be grown. So this is vegetative propagation by the leaves in Bryophyllum. Next is the artificial means of the vegetative propagation. So in cutting, it is the method that these are the artificially vegetative propagation. It is the method in which cutting from a plant is taken and then it planted. So this cutting is a part of a stem or the branch of the plant. For example, rose. We can see the cutting artificial method, that is the basic stem cutting in rose. So when we cut the stem or cut the branch of the rose plant and we grow that branch cutted plant with the nodes pointed to the soil. So after some time you will observe that there are several roots are growing from that branch, that cutted plant. Okay, so these planted root produce a new shoot and it grows into a new plant of a rose plant. Next is the grafting method. Grafting is sometime when the two plants are joined together so that both of them can provide the desired characteristics to the new plant. That is grafting. In the one plant remain rooted into the ground, which is called stalk, and provide the essential nutrient and water, while the other plant stem is attached to it, that is scion. So in this way a new plant developed. For example, in apple, yeah, this is the picture. This scion is the part that is going to be attached to this stalk. Okay, after the grafting we reunion these two branches of different plant and wrapped it and waxed it. Okay, so it's grow into a new plant, that is grafting. Next is the advantages of the vegetative propagation. The first advantage is the plant that are produced with vegetative propagation, they grow faster than those that are produced with sexual reproduction. Second, the plants that reproduce with vegetative reproduction, they have the fruit and flower ahead of time. Third, the plants that are produced have the exactly the same characteristics as that of their parents. Or we can say it is an easier or the less expensive and the rapid way of producing the new plant. Okay, in vegetative propagation plant takes less amount of time to grow, and plant in vegetative propagation plant cannot produce the proper seeds like banana, pineapple, so it can be easily grown. Okay, next, asexual reproduction is about budding. So budding is a type of asexual reproduction where the small part of the parent plant grow into a bulb-like projection, that is bud. So yeast is an organism that contain a single cell. So it is a fungi, not a plant. It can propagate every few hours if the proper amount of nutrients are present at that time. As the yeast find the favorable condition, when the yeast find the favorable condition, a small bulb-like projection produced from the yeast that called bud. Okay, which on getting detach and produce a new plant. First, yeast is a single cell small plant. It's a fungus, we cannot say it's a plant. So that can be seen with a microscope only. So yeast, a bud start as a small outgrowth on the surface of mature yeast. Okay. So the bud grows gradually and then get detached from the parent yeast, and this new cell grow, measles and produce more cells. So firstly, yeast is a single cell. As you can see, this is a single celled organism. Okay, it's a fungus that can be seen, we can easily see with the help of a microscope. A bud is start, this is the developing bud. So this bud start as a small outgrowth on the surface of the mature yeast cell. As it enlarge, it get detached. After that, when it's enlarged, it get detached and form a new yeast cell. So every new yeast cell that is formed produce more and more yeast cell by the help of budding process. Okay, sometime a new bud arises from another bud, that is a chain of a yeast bud. Okay, this is the reproduction in yeast by budding. Next is the fragmentation. It's a type of a asexual reproduction. Fragmentation. fragmentation, the algae like a Spirogyra generally reproduce by the process of fragmentation. Spirogyra is the example of a process of fragmentation in which they divide themselves into multiple parts. Fragmentation means breaking of an organism into many parts. Here fragmentation. So breaking of organism into many parts, that is fragmentation. So as soon as the algae find enough water and nutrient, its fragment and grow into the new individual. When the favorable condition is available for the algae, the fragment get separated and grow into a new individual part. So this process continues and algae multiply quickly in a short period of a time. So as you can see that when each fragment, these are the fragment of the Spirogyra, okay, when each fragment give rise to a new plant, it is called the reproduction by the fragmentation. It is seen in the filamentous green algae like a Spirogyra. So here, during the favorable condition, when water and nutrients are available in plenty, this Spirogyra filament break into the 2 or more fragments. So each fragment grow into a new Spirogyra. So by the fragmentation, the Spirogyra spread very fast in a very short period of time. Okay, and it covers a large area in a pond. That is the fragmentation in Spirogyra. Next is the spore formation. It is also a type of asexual reproduction. Some plants contain the spores that float in the air and cause asexual reproduction. It is a common method of the reproduction in a number of fungi like a bread mold or fern and mosses. So the spores are the asexual reproduction body. A spore has a hard protective cover which protects it from the unfavorable environment condition like the temperature, humidity. Because of the hard covering, the spores can travel long distance and survive for a long duration of time. As soon as they find the favorable condition such as moisture and nutrient, they germinate and form a new plant. You can see the germination, the spore formation in the moss and ferns and bread mold. So here you can see during the favorable condition, the parent plant produce a number of spore scales. The number of spore scales are sporangia. This is the sporangia, which on maturity it bursts out, okay, and release there are several spores. So being a very light, they reach long distance and far of the place. So each spore is a small microscopic structure with a thick wall. Okay, it is well protected to the withstand unfavorable condition like the dryness, very low, high temperature, humidity because of the hard covering. Okay, on finding the favorable condition, these spores germinate into the new plant. And this is the hypha that is attached to the sporangia. Okay, next. So the flower of a plant are its reproductive organs that participate in the sexual reproduction process. So in the sexual reproduction or the reproductive part in the plant, the male reproductive part of a plant are stamen and the female reproductive part of the plant are called as pistil or carpel. So flower are the reproductive organ in the flowering plant. Flower is said to be a modified part of a plant for the sexual reproduction. Okay, a typical flower has the 4 important parts that present at the base of the flower. So next is the structure of stamen. Here the stamen is a male reproductive part of a flower. So each stamen has a 2 part. Okay, first is anther, second is filament. This bilobed structure is anther, and this stalk is filament. This is the male reproductive part in a flower plant. So in filament, this filament is a slender part that carries the anther on the top. Okay, this filament carries this anther on the top. And anthered is a two-lobed structure. They are the two-lobed here, first one and the second one. So it's a two-lobed, or we can see the bilobed structure that is present on the tip of the filament. So each anther contains the pollen sac, or in pollen sacs their pollen grains are present, which produce the male gamete or the male sex cell. Pollen grain is a male gamete. Okay, this is the structure of stamen. Next important part is about the pistil or the carpel. Pistil is a female reproductive part of a flower, or the carpel is a female reproductive part. In male, the stamen is a male reproductive part, but in female, carpel or pistil is a female reproductive part. Okay, so each pistil has the three parts: stigma, this style, and ovary. First, stigma is the uppermost part which receive the pollen grains. Like pollen grains are the male gamete. The stigma receive the male gamete, that is the pollen grain. So style form the neck of the pistil and it attach to the stigma. Style function is it attach the stigma and hold the ovule and ovary also. Third is ovary. Ovary forms the lowermost swollen part. It contains one or more ovules. These are the ovules. These circular in structure or oval shaped structures are ovules that is present in ovary. Okay, so it contains one or more ovules. So each ovule contains the female gamete, that is called an egg. Female gamete here is egg. In male, the male gametes are pollen grains. In pistil or in carpel, the female gametes are the egg. Okay. Next, there are the various types of the flowers. Some flowers contain both stamen and pistil and are called bisexual flower. Okay. So bi means both, sexual means the reproductive part. So both reproductive parts are present, like stamen and pistil is bisexual flower. Okay, for example, lily, rose, brinjal, hibiscus, petunia, mustard, etc. These are the example of bisexual flower. Next is unisexual flower. So uni means one and sexual means the reproductive parts. A flower that has only one reproductive part, either only the stamen or either a pistil, either only a stamen or the pistil. So it's called unisexual flower. For example, papaya, watermelon, cucumber, coconut. So these are the example of unisexual flower. Okay, male flower only stamen is present. In female flower only the pistil is present. Okay, male and female flower may be present on the same plant. That is a unisexual flower. Next is how the male gamete reach to the female gametes in plants. So the male and the female gamete fuse with each other and form a zygote. Okay. Then the male gamete reach the female gamete by the process of pollination. So the pollen grains have the tough covering which allows them in surviving the different climatic conditions. Next, this process of transfers of pollen grain from one stigma to another is called pollination. So first is the transfers of pollen grain, a male gamete from the anthers of a flower to the stigma of a flower is called pollination. Okay, as you can see in this picture, The transfers of the pollen grains by the help of the bee or by the insect from anther of a flower to the stigma of a flower is called pollination. So after the pollen grains are shed from anther, they can reach to the stigma part, okay, by the numbers of means like the insect or by the wind, any other factors. So flower could be self-pollinated or the cross-pollinated. First, this pollinator, this insect, visit flower and collect the nectar from that flower. When this insect is collecting the nectar from this flower, so pollen is rubbed onto their body. So when the pollinator carries pollen on its body to another flower, so pollen is deposited on the stigma. In that process, pollination is occur. Pollination is transfers of the pollen grains. Pollen grains are the male gamete, anther of a flower to the stigma. Okay, transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of a flower, that is pollination. Next is about the types of pollination. There are the two types of pollination. First is the self-pollination. When the pollen grains land on the stigma of the same flower, that is self-pollination. Here you can easily see that the pollination of a flower by the pollen from the same flower or another flower on the same plant, that is self-pollination. Okay, it occurs when these are the pollen grains present on the anther. So when the pollens of a flower land on the stigma of the same flower, okay, it generally doesn't require any external agency. So self-pollination is when the pollen of a flower lands on the stigma of the same flower, that is self-pollination, or we can say the autogamy. Okay, next is the cross-pollination. So yeah, in cross-pollination, when the pollen grains land on the stigma of from a different flower. Okay, from here there are the several pollen grains are present. When they land to the another stigma of a different flower, whether of a similar kind or the different kind, that is cross-pollination. When pollens of a flower land on the stigma of another flower of a same species of a plant, that is cross-pollination. In cross-pollination, it requires the external agencies like external factors like wind, water, insect and birds. That is cross-pollination, and it's also known as xenogamy. Next is about the fertilization process. So immediately after the pollination, a zygote is formed as a fusion between the male and female gametes occurs. Okay, immediately after the pollination, what will happen? These pollen grains lands on the stigma. Okay, so then this process of formation of zygote is called as fertilization. Then the zygote develops and turn in an embryo. So you can easily understand about this fertilization by this picture. Firstly, what will happen after the pollination? When the pollen grains lands on the stigma, a pollen tube is arising from the pollen grains. Here the pollen grains are present. Okay, so from the pollen grains, a tube arises from the pollen grains. So each pollen tube has male gamete. Okay, each pollen tube has a male gamete. Then these pollen tube elongates and grow through the style and to reach to the ovary where the ovule is present. From here, from the pollen, when its pollen tube has the male gamete and it reaches to the ovary part where the ovules is present. Okay, the female part is present. So pollen tube enter the ovule and release its male gamete. From this pollen tube, there are thus male gametes are present, and these pollen tube enter the ovule and release its male gamete into the female gamete. Okay, and the male gamete fuses with the female gamete Here the male gametes are the pollen grains, and these are the egg cells are present in the ovule, that is the female gamete. When male gamete and female gamete fuse with each other in the ovule, then they form a zygote. That zygote is formed and it's known as fertilization process. Okay, when the male gamete fuses with the female gamete to form a zygote, that is fertilization. After how the fruits and seed formation. So after this fertilization, this zygote develops into an embryo. Okay, and the ovary grows into a fruit and ovules grow into seed. Ovary grow into fruit and ovule grow into seed. So that's how this fruit and seed formed. Firstly, after the fertilization process, the ovary of the flower grows and develop into a fruit. This ovary grow into fruit and ovule grow into seed. Then the remaining parts of the flower falls off and the ovule develops and form the seed of the fruit. So the embryo is enclosed inside the seed. Some fruits are fleshy and juicy, such as mango, apple, orange. Some fruits are hard like almond and walnut. So this is about the fruit and seed formation. After the fertilization process, ovary develops into the fruit and ovule forms the seed of the fruit. Okay. Next is about the seed dispersal. Here, seed dispersal means to disperse the seed. When the transportation of seed from the parent plant to the different places is called seed dispersal. Or the seed dispersal of seed means the scattering of seed. Seed dispersal of seed is very important, because if all the seed fall at the same place close to the parent plant, then the seedling will not get enough nutrient from the soil to grow. So they will start competing for sunlight, space, water and nutrient. Okay, and they will not grow into the healthy plants. So seed dispersal allow the growth of the same kind of the plant in different regions. So this is helpful because it minimizes the competition for the food, sunlight, water, mineral and among the plants of the same kind in the same area. It also allows them to grow in a different habitat. So many seed and fruits are modified in number of ways and have the special dispersal mechanism to get scattered by wind, by water, by animal. Okay. So now you see that how the dispersion of seed occurs in different plants. So first is the distribution factors. What are the factors responsible for the distributions of the seed? So here in the plant, the drumstick, maple and the wing seed, grasses, hairy seed, egg and sunflower, the distribution factor is wind. Through the winds, these seeds are dispersed. Okay, the seed of the drumstick and the maple, the hairy fruit of the sunflower and hairy seeds of the madar or the ark. These are dispersed by the help of winds. Next in the second plant is coconut. Here the dispersal mechanism or the distribution factors is dispersed by water. So seed and the fruit have the spongy or the fibrous layer to trap the air. So they become light and they can float in water easily. These are the important features. For example, in coconut. Next is in animal, that is dispersed by the animal. The dispersal mechanism is by the factor is by the animal. So like in xanthium, the seeds are spiny with hook by which they get attached to the fur of animal and get carried to distant place, to the different place. That's why they dispersed. Seeds of the xanthium are spiny with the hooks by which they get attached to the fur of the animal and they get carried to the different places. This is how seed dispersal in xanthium. At last, I am giving you the homework of today's lecture, the summary lecture. That is, you have to solve the assignment of chapter number 12, that is the reproduction in plants. So solve this assignment in your science fair notebook. Okay. So this is it about this video. Hope you have understood this video. Thank you and have a nice day.